Hello, I'm Logue and this is Let's Talk Consciousness. And the purpose of these videos are primarily to look at a whole variety of life issues and situations through the lens that if reality itself is a manifestation of consciousness, what do you do with that in your everyday life? How would that possibly inform how you relate to your parents, loved ones, coworkers, friends? Um, and how do you make sense of the world around you? And what is your model of reality? So I try to look at all sorts of things that interest me. I think that the primary implication of a model of reality that is ostensibly a consciousness experiencing itself as individual beings, as if having some sort of temporary illusion of separation that ultimately ends in a sort of rejoining, something you'd see reflected in Eastern philosophy or large parts of New Age spirituality, some areas of science and in consciousness studies, studies of quantum physics that I'll go through in individual videos and try to tie those into what I think the implications are as far as consciousness being fundamental to reality. But I think the biggest takeaway from that is that if that is true, and if we are all fundamentally connected, despite all of our differences and the pain that we inflict on each other, that we are always progressing in a direction towards a sort of reunion or rejoining. And I think that comes through unconditional love and forgiveness for yourself and for others. On a more pragmatic level, I think trying to improve your quality of consciousness just so that you have a good life is also a meaningful goal that comes from learning to let go of things, let go of criticisms for yourself and for others, holding hard feelings. One big thing about unconditional love is that it's really important to make the distinction between being a pacifist or someone who doesn't uh, defend their own sovereignty over themselves and their loved ones, and um, uh, the implication that somebody might be let off the hook by the fact that they ought to be forgiven and seen as worthy. Those things I think are really separate, and what you have is more like a process for yourself to forgive and let go of hard feelings for your own quality of consciousness, while not letting go of people's accountability and not letting people slide on the things that they do, which is not easy. But to separate your own internal feelings from what needs to happen going forward with people who do all sorts of things. That's they can be separate issues, as emotionally difficult as that can be to separate. But anyway, from that, I like to also go into really weird, conspiracy areas, because I think that's a big part of modeling your reality. And I think that right now we're at a time where, with YouTube as the platform, there's a lot of information being disseminated that normally would not be. So that's a big area of interest for me. So I do go into that a lot. I think looking at popular culture and celebrities is also worthwhile, not to get too tied up in judging them, but really as a kind of grist for the mill for letting go of judgments. And in many of my videos, but not all, I'm usually smoking, because I am a big advocate of that. I think everybody ought to be, at least once in a while, partaking of cannabis, because it really does improve your quality of consciousness, and I think it takes the edge off, certainly. It's not for everybody, I should point out, but for those who it does seem to ease, if you're holding yourself back in some way because of some, judgment about it, I would recommend letting it go, because it's fucking amazing. So, as these videos continue, they will evolve and change, but basically I'll try to always keep that through the lens of what does this do for your quality of consciousness? How does this relate to your experience as a conscious being? And how does it relate to unconditional love and forgiveness for yourself and others? And so I wish you well, and I hope that you enjoy your now.